Hi everyone, I'm Adam from Trade with Precision and welcome to IC Markets Market Commentary. Let's just kick off by having a look at the Euro Dollar Weekly. So we had a very strong double bounce, very strong finish to the weekly. If we have a look at it from a daily, we've managed to break through some key resistance here. So that momentum is a little bit more to the upside. There is some resistance up ahead. So this week I'm going to be looking to see how the market follows through on that. If we have a look at the dollar yen, we've got a nice downtrend in play. We've got the 50, 20 and 10 in a bearish formation, and we've got bearish momentum on the indicators, and currently dollar yen looks more intent on heading lower than heading higher. So both of those hint at a potential weaker US dollar this week. Gold continuing to push higher. This is the monthly candle so far. Let's have a look at the weekly. Little bit of weakness showing up on that weekly candle so far, so I'll be looking to see if we do break the low of gold. And again on that daily, we're currently pulling back into the moving averages. However, when we go down to the 4 hourly, we could see very much a pretty obvious double top here. So we're gonna have to see if that ultimately double top with bearish divergence, if that is going to lead to a deeper correction. So this week, exercising some caution on gold. We could see a bit of a move down lower towards $2,800, for example, then finishing strong by the end of the week. That could be the case. I think how the next week finishes is pretty important. Crude oil continuing to trend lower. It's now in the bottom half of its overall range. So for now, it makes more sense for it to continue to head down towards the lows. We look ahead at the S&P 500. Strong finish for the week, right up against those all-time highs as well. And still has some of this bearish divergence coming in on the higher time frame. So I'm looking to see if we continue to push higher or if we still encounter some strong resistance there. NASDAQ Tech 100 continuing to push higher. Very, very strong finish for the week. Let's have a look at it from a weekly perspective. You can see again coming back into the previous high. So it's also sitting at resistance. I want to see how it handles that if we do see a bit of a pullback and or a continuation finishing this week. Russell 2000 actually not finishing as strong as the rest of the other US markets, global indices at least. Still continuing to hover around below this level of resistance. So not adding any kind of clues to that. For now, I see this more as slightly bullish to indecisive. And then Tesla having an interesting week, breaking down, pulling back into the moving averages. On the daily, we now have the 50, 20, and 10 in a bearish formation with a slightly bearish candle forming near the moving averages. So what I'm looking for this week is, do we manage to come back up to test this level for resistance, possibly get back up above that, or do we continue the move to the downside? I would say the momentum is very bearish, and the chart structure itself is also very bearish. And this was a very strong level of resistance to break through. Support to break through. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards a continuing down, but just noticing on the week that we had a strong recovery finish by the end of Friday, which makes sense because we could see that in the rest of the markets. But for now, leaning towards that, possibly hitting a little bit lower. Let's see how the week finishes. Now, NVIDIA also having a very, very strong rejection here, and then just kind of failing to follow through on that. This is kind of unusual. Strong recovery, but that in itself is very unusual to be that weak and then just have a very strong recovery. And so this, similar to Tesla, I'm not entirely sure we are free and clear of the woods just yet, but acknowledging that we did have a very strong finish to last week. So just exercising caution as we approach key resistance levels to see if the markets are strong enough to break through that and continue up, and finishing off with Bitcoin, which is still range bound, by the way, still range bound here, still hovering around that $100 mark, but also having a relatively strong finish, closing higher at the end of the week and also battling here with its own local level of resistance. So again, all of these are really vulnerable to any resistance they encounter this week, but I have to say they had a very good finish. So really this week, waiting to see if they can continue to push through those levels. Otherwise, potentially if we get that weaker dollar or any other unseen incidents, we could see those markets take another hit to the downside. So the markets are really at a bit of a fork in the road right now. Exercise a little bit of caution, but otherwise the markets could be providing some opportunities for those of us looking at good trends.